Greetings, everyone. My name is Shepard Smith, Head of Marketing here at Gravitate, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. The topic of today's conversation is data analytics for association marketers. And while we have a lot to discuss in the next 30 minutes, we welcome questions and invite you to submit them at any time using the written chat function you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen. Everyone in the audience is muted, and we'll be sending all of you a link to a recording of this webinar afterwards. We have two presenters today, Rob Miller and Brandon Loishan. Rob is a CAE who many of you know both as a senior association executive at the trade association 340B Health and as president and co-founder of Avectra, the company that invented the modern web-based AMS with the launch of NetForum. Brandon is a subject matter expert who's been focusing on associations and analytics since 2010 and discusses data analytics with member industry professionals every single day. Rob, I will now turn the presentation over to you.
Thank you, Shepard, and welcome everyone. Our philosophy at Gravitate is data analytics for everyone. The purpose there is that, while it's a great tool for IT, we really want everyone to be able to use it. So we work very, very hard on the user interface to make it easy for folks. And certainly my old organization, 340B Health, we had a great deal of success, and I saw my most junior membership coordinator all the way up to my executives using the system. Nucleus has a responsive design which allows it to run very comfortably on your phone, your tablet, or your desktop. And if you're running it on your phone, that makes it very valuable if you want to take it with you to, say, your annual meeting or to a board meeting. I found it very valuable to give that last-minute registration count when we were at our annual show. We pull all the data from all your systems, your AMS, your email marketing, your community, your survey tools, and pull that all together and blend that data together in such a way that we are then able to create brilliant visualizations that answer a lot of key questions that you may have. So these are some typical marketing goals that many of you may have. Increasing membership renewals and acquisition, growing your annual conference, and of course, increasing member engagement. But these are very challenging to meet without what we believe is a modern analytics tool. So what you really need to do is you need to have the ability to inspect this data. So I really don't believe that many of us really look hard at the elements that are tracked in an email system or in our Google Analytics. And even if we do, we have a tough time understanding it. At my organization, 340B Health, we actually once a month, we gathered up the data from our email marketing tool and also from Google Analytics, and we tried to create a monthly report that we could then understand to help us make decisions. The problem is that we were missing a critical element. We didn't really know how that activity and that data related to certain elements in our data, such as the tenure of the people that were going to our site, or what gender they were, or what generation they were in, or the most common one, member, non-member, or other type of categorization. And so without that, those types of systems, even though they were generating a lot of data about what our members were doing, we didn't really know who and what they were. And so the real answer to that is blended data and also easy access. So first of all, just the fact that you have to go to your email system or go to Google Analytics, it can be very, very challenging, and you don't necessarily get that data to the right people in your office. And then secondly, when you bring in the blended data, you can now start analyzing that data based on all those different components. So today, my colleague Brandon will be going through a few examples to hit on what I was talking about. In our first success story, Brandon will be demoing capabilities that revolve around the primary marketers tool, which is the email system, and showing the success that the American Medical Informatics Association had. Their big challenge was to grow membership renewals, but the problem was they didn't have very good tools and their data was spread across all their various systems. So it was very hard for them to evaluate and measure trends. So their solution was they implemented Nucleus, they blended that data together, and then they were able to utilize segmenting with the email data to really target who was reading that data and then who they should be sending it to. The second example that success story that Brandon will be going through revolves around another great tool that pretty much every one of us uses. That's your website with Google Analytics sitting on top of it. And most associations have some performance, are able to track some performance on the data on their website, but it's hard, again, for them to access. And it's really hard, even harder to understand a lot of the data that Google is telling us. And as I said earlier, it's not in the context of other important information like tenure and generation and so forth. So in this particular case, our client implemented Nucleus and they blended the data together and they blended it with that Google Analytics. And the result was they started to really understand the trends of their page views, the session durations for particular segments of their members, like members that have 0 to 4 years, our newest members, those members that we care deeply about, trying to understand why they do not continue. So how is this all possible? Well, let me tell you very quickly about the way Nucleus works. It's got 4 components. The first is the data lake, and that's where we store all the data from all your system. Then the magic happens in our processing pipeline where we blend it all together and we transpose the data so it's very, very usable for you. We have a very intuitive interface that I think all of you would find easy and intuitive to use. And then we have a last component, which is really where some of the ROI really happens, is it allows you to really act on the data. It allows you to segment your data down to a data set and then export that data out of Nucleus so that you can bring it into your email marketing tool and keep going after that segmented group. A little bit more on blending. I've mentioned that many times in this call already, and this gives you just a very small example of what it is. In this case, I've got 4 systems that I've blended together: the association management system, an email marketing tool, a social tool, and a website. And in this case, what I'm showing is that we brought all the data from all those systems together so we can see that exactly what John Doe has done in all those systems. And in this particular case, we also like to take this data and create new columns. Like we'll like to create a new column called tenure and take those people and put them into buckets so that when we're doing queries in the system, we can filter on that bucket. Same thing with generation. We also like to take the complex topic of membership. And in most systems, a member is defined as more than just being yes or no. It's usually, you know, are they a regular member? What's their member status? Have they paid, or are they within a grace period? And there may be some other criteria. And what we like to do is we like to transpose that data, create a column as just member, non-member, and make it very easy for an individual when they're querying on the data. So that's what we do when we blend the data together. And where does that data come from? Well, these are just some examples of systems that we have integrated Nucleus to, and we're pulling that data. And we pretty much have focused on the most popular systems in the association and nonprofit space, and we're adding new integrations to our list every month. So with that, I am going to turn it now over to Brandon, and he's going to go through some of those examples that I talked about. And please note that he is demoing from live client sites, so you will see him working at the type of speed that the system would work if you were running the system yourself.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rob. So as Rob mentioned, I am going to be walking you through some of the analytics that our clients have utilized specifically in the marketing space in order to help drive better decision-making, better marketing efforts across their organizations. So the first site that I'm going to bring you into is the American Medical Informatics Association. So this is one of the ones that Rob mentioned in the PowerPoint, but what I really want to do here, and where I like to start when we're talking about data analytics, is I like to show you the way that our tool works, so that as I'm navigating across the different areas, it makes sense to you where I'm going, what I'm clicking on, so you can really take into account that ease of use that we were talking about in the PowerPoint as well. So first things first is that Nucleus, our tool here, is a website. So you log in, and the first screen that you're going to see is going to look something like this. Where I like to start here is just by talking about the main navigation button up here in the top left of the screen. Now, today we're going to be talking about mainly areas that are concerned with marketing, but you should know that we have analytics, visualizations built around all the different business areas that an association touches. So here you can see what we call carousels. And again, after I click on that main navigation button, you're going to see a carousel for members, for corporate members. Here's email marketing, right? Some webinars. Down here at the bottom of the screen, we have the higher logic community information. So again, lots of different areas. We're just going to be focusing on a few of them today. And where I want to start for today is actually in the membership area, because in our marketing efforts, that actually starts with learning as much as we can about our members. And so one of the things that AMIA did when they came to us about 4 or 5 years ago in order to start this process is that they had already identified that members in their 0 to 4 years of tenure bucket, and otherwise they're new members, where they're least likely to renew and they were the least likely to engage with them in really meaningful ways. And so what you're going to see here are some visualizations that we built in order to try and, again, capture as much information as we can about these members so that we're making sure we're engaging with them in the most effective ways. And it's also going to serve this area here as a very quick and easy querying tool for you to be able to pull segments of your membership for your email campaign efforts or for whatever it is that you might want to use them, your members for. And so when we take a look at the screen here, the first thing that you're going to see are what we call data cards. And here you're going to see on the screen a member's goal, which is a KPI. This is a gauge that fills up when you come to the screen and it loads in here. You'll see this reflected across a number of different areas that we're looking at, KPIs or goals. The next thing that you'll see here in the center of the screen is their current member count. And I like to point this out because there's a lot of things that are happening, and there are a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes within Nucleus. So as Rob was talking about that blended data, basically what we're doing is we're putting an organization's definition of a member into what we call our processing pipeline, so that whenever anybody logs into Nucleus, they're always working from the same organization-wide accepted definition of what a member truly is to your organization, right? So there's no kind of, people counting different criteria depending on which department that they're in. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't explore down deeper into any of the visualizations that you see here and start asking more serious questions about that particular member count. It just means we're doing a little bit of data governance to get everyone to the same starting point. You're going to see some other things as we kind of scroll to the right here. So members by expiration date, members by length of membership, which is an example of a transformation that we help this client achieve. So we're taking join date from their CRM or their AMS, and we're placing members into, whatever your defined categories are that are important for you. In their case, it was 0 to 4 years, and 5 to 9 years, and 10 to 14 years, so on and so forth. So that is an example of a question that you might ask of your database, but you're going to have somebody who's in there doing, less than or greater than or whatever otherwise in order to get that information. So again, a simple and easy transformation that just makes the process of data analytics easier for our clients to go through. You're going to see things like, geography as we scroll here. So things that are important when we're talking about events or revenue that's generated in certain regions of the country, countries, active members by year. So there's a whole bunch that we'll go through in just a second here. Where I'm going to focus on at the beginning is I just want to show you how you go ahead and ask additional questions of the data within Nucleus. So if we look at this current members card here and I click explore, what it's going to do is it's going to bring me down into an area where I'm now taking a deeper dive view into that particular card or that data point that I started from. And here you're going to see I'm looking at members by member type, members by gender, and members by length of membership. Now, these cards that you see here and anything that you see on the baseline, they're all configurable so that we are able to adjust this to some other piece of demographic information other than member type, if member type is not something that's important for your organization to visualize on this level. You'll also notice that as I mouse over the particular buckets here, I see I've got 3,960 regular members, 89 retired members, right? And then my gender information over here on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, the real power of Nucleus and where it starts to come into play is by utilizing the filters that are over here on the right-hand side of the screen. And so this is where you're going to have any information that you have about your members in any of the source systems that we're pulling into Nucleus. And now remember, it's not just your CRM, any other system that you're using, whether that's an event system, an email system, a community, all that data is being brought together so that you can do, querying across your entire database. And so basically what we're taking a look at here are being able to filter down by additional, demographic fields or engagement fields if you have those too. And so here, for whatever reason, if I wanted to find all the male members, I go into the gender area, I check off the male, filter here. I can close it out. It updates the visualization over here. I see I've got 1,791 male members, right? If I wanted to add in an additional maybe generation or length of membership, and I want to only look at the members in 0 to 4 years of tenure, which are, again, as you remember, the problem area that this organization was focusing on. So I can click that off here. All right, so now I see, which filters I'm using up here in the top right. It's updated my visualizations for me over here on the left-hand side of the screen. And I can go ahead and actually scroll down to the bottom of the tool and access the data table, which shows me exactly who these members are, right? So any information that I have about this particular subset or this particular segment of members is now contained within this data table down here at the bottom of the screen, including their email address or whatever it is that I might want to utilize in order to market to them more effectively. And I can download that, maybe put it in my email marketing tool, and I've got a very quick and easy way to find segments of my membership in order to do that. Right, you can also print your visualizations to PDF, and you can save filters if it's something that you want to come back to and run pretty frequently. Okay, so I'm going to hop back here a screen. The next thing that I want to do is talk about some of the other pieces of information that were important for this client to be able to capture in order to market to their members in 0 to 4 years of tenure more effectively. So again, we already talked about by geography, but there are some key things, and there will be some things for each of your organizations that are important just to you. So for this organization, they work in the medical field, so they have members who are in a number of different settings. All right, so you'll see here that they have members who work in academia or health systems or hospitals, right, or technology or NPOs, right? So these are all things that are important to us that are going to tell us which types of communication should these people be receiving from us. Same thing with their profession or their area of expertise. So again, the more we know about them, the better we can get them content that's more effective for them. Now, the next thing that they also did is they brought in information from their higher logic community. And this allowed them to do a couple of things. So one is that now they're able to, again, mingle all of their data from their AMS or their CRM, their email marketing system, with the data that's from their community, so that they can go in and actually see what are members in 0 to 4 years of tenure actually talking about within the community. And therefore, from that standpoint, then I can go ahead and direct my content in my messages, in my campaigns, around areas that they're actually interested in or talking about. And so through doing that, they saw a number of different things happen. One is that they saw their retention for their members in 0 to 4 years of tenure go up by about 12%. And they also saw it, carry over into other business areas as well. They have a clinical informatics conference that happens every year, and in marketing that to members in 0 to 4 years of tenure, they highlighted sessions that were about the topics they were interested in the community, and other things like that, more direct campaigns about the things that they actually care about, in order to increase the registrations for that. And they actually saw in the period of about 4 years, registrations of members in 0 to 4 years of tenure go from 2 registrants to about 200. So it's pretty crazy growth from that particular aspect. Now, the next thing that I want to show you then is we talked about how we identify who we want to send communication to and what we want to send to them, but I want to show you some of the things that you can do after you've sent maybe an email campaign. So we're going to hop into the email marketing area here, and you'll see my gauges load up. And for this particular client, they have 2 campaigns that they're running throughout the year. That, again, they have a KPI or a metric or a goal that they're focusing on. And in this case, it's their open rate for each of these 2 particular campaigns. Now, as the information is loading up here on the right-hand side of the screen, I'll be walking you through the rest of that. The next thing that we'll see once it loads up here in just a sec is the total number of mailings that were sent over the last 3 months. And so this just allows our clients to keep an active track of how many messages they're sending in any given month. And we'll talk about this when I move into the next site, but one of the things that sometimes our clients are concerned with is, it's a concept I call email fatigue, but essentially am I sending too many messages to too many people throughout the month, and is it actually having a negative impact on the association, right? So here you're just kind of seeing some trending as to how many messages we're sending in any given month. The next thing that you'll see are recent mailings or recent campaigns that have gone out. And then again, mailing rates for a number of different criteria or demographics that are important for us to be able to track. So one, here's our overall mailing rates, but we're also taking a look at mailing rates. And so if we mouse over here, you're going to see, by member type. And so this is open rate by member type over the last 3 months. Again, we spanned over a period of time, open rate by length of membership or tenure, which is again a key area that this particular client was focusing on. All right, so if I dive down deeper into one of these particular cards here, so let's say, for instance, I take this mailing rates over the last 3 months, what it's going to show me are all of the messages that have gone out. And again, now we're looking at a larger period of time here because we've dived down deeper, so not just the last 3 months. And it'll take just a second because we're pulling in, as you can see down here, 1,000 or 1 million, 1.5 million emails. So it'll take just a second for it to load up here. But the key thing is that now, we're able to take any of that data from the AMS and mingle it with information from the email marketing tool. And so if I wanted to find out how effective my communication is to any of those segments that we were talking about in the membership area, I can go ahead and maybe take a look at, what is my open rate, my click-through rate, my click rate for, members who are in 0 to 4 years of tenure, or people who are in a particular setting or a profession. So again, allowing you a quick and easy way to kind of digest that information, but previously you may not have been able to do because all that information is stored in separate systems. And so here you're going to see, those rates that we were talking about. So we're tracking delivery rate, open rate, bounce rate, click rate, and click to open rate. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you, and I'm going to hop into separate client site here. Just give me 1 sec. Are more visualizations around what we call email fatigue, and then I'll hop into kind of a campaign-focused visualization as well. So here, when we take a look at the total sent over the last 3 months, this provides me a pretty easy way for me to track how many messages I'm sending to people in a particular month. And so it'll take a second for me to explain it here, so I'm not doing it effectively while we're taking a look at a high-level card. But basically what it's showing is when we're looking at the screen down here at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, all the way up to 29. And so one of the problems that this organization had when they came to us is that they weren't really accountable for how many messages they were sending to their members. And so, each department was handling their own marketing, their own communication, and they were all sending whatever messages they wanted to their membership. And so basically they wanted to identify how many messages they're actually sending to their members per month. And so here, when you see on the screen, when you see this 12, it means that there were 5,727 recipients who received 12 messages from this organization in the month of April. And so they have knocked it down quite a bit through utilizing the system and being able to track how many messages that they're sending to make it more effective. And also you'll see that the filters for them over here on the right-hand side of the screen are different. It's a different organization. They track different demographic things that are important for them to be able to utilize over here on the right. So that's one of the other things. The other thing I wanted to show you here too is that when we take a look at this recent mailings area, basically what it's going to show me are some of the campaigns that have gone out recently. And so this will allow me to explore down deeper into some data, which again, you might have access to within your email marketing tool, but you now have access to, again, mingle that with all of your other data over here on the right-hand side of the screen. So if I wanted to see, how many people within a particular segment of my membership went through and clicked in the $5 fundraiser and actually donated and tracked that conversion, I'd be able to do that from this particular visualization. The next thing that I will take a look at here is I want to show you some of the things that we can do around Google Analytics. I am coming up on time, so I'm going to try to keep it as close to half an hour as possible, as we promised. But the next thing that we're going to take a look at here are, again, web traffic, things that are coming in from Google Analytics. And there are a few ways that this particular organization is tracking that. One is just their overall web traffic, right? So anybody who comes to the website, I want to track the usage trends, how many sessions, how many sessions did I have, what was the average session length, and what was the average page views per session. Over, again, a period of time is what we're taking a look at here. And so the reason you see this dip in October is we're at the beginning of October, so that's why you see that there. Then page views by their pages in their website. So this is just giving them an idea of what their most active or their most popular pages are for anybody to view on their website. Right, then visitors by channel. So did somebody come directly to the website? Did they go through a search? Did they come through email, referral, a social campaign, whatever those types of channels are that you might have within your organization? Visitors by country, visitors by state. Again, just taking a look at some of the things that we can track and blending that with other data that we have from other systems. And so the way that they do that is they actually have a web traffic carousel that is just specifically targeted towards members. So these are people that are coming to the website that we know are members. In other words, they've logged in, so we're able to track exactly who they are. And so we have all those same types of statistics for us to be able to utilize. So again, the number of sessions, the average length, the number of page views in a particular session. Now we're taking a look at the top pages by the membership. And as you'll notice, these are different than the pages that we saw on the previous screen. So these are the top pages that are popular for their members. Again, their visitors that are members that are coming through, and so on and so forth here. So this will allow us to then go in and take a look at, what are the things that they're doing on a particular page? How long are they spending on that page? If we explore down deeper into this particular card here. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you then too is that they do have another carousel. Again, some of the same statistics here that's going to show us. They have a number of different web properties that they wanted to be able to analyze, and so here you're going to see each of those. So we're breaking that down. You might have something similar set up within Google Analytics for your own organization, but they can go ahead and switch between those within any of the areas that we just covered briefly here as well. Okay, so I'm going to kick it back over to Shepard and see if there are any questions. Let me go ahead and just bring up.
Brandon, many thanks. And as mentioned, everyone, we do encourage questions. We don't get to them today. We'll follow up with you individually. The first question relates to member engagement. What, in your experience with clients, are the variables considered in the equation of measuring member engagement? Do you have a list of items that have been considered through associations that can serve as a benchmark? Rob.
That's a great question. So first of all, I do want to say that we have had a couple of other webinars on that topic. So if you'd actually like to watch one, go to our website and look for engagement, and there's whole topics on that, but I will give the quick answer. So like at my old organization, 340B Health, we were running 3 systems, an AMS, an email marketing, and a community. And what we did is we scored each of the activities. So we came up with this concept of about 1 to 2 points for an email and a, open and a click, maybe 5 to 6 for posting in the community or reposting. And then we looked at all of the various activities in IMAS, in our AMS, and we scored maybe 50 points for a webinar, 100 points for a paid conference, maybe 150 points being a committee, 200 to call your member of Congress, so forth and so on. And I'm sure at your organization you have very specific things and would have a good sense of what they should be, but you also have to consider the concept of decay. So obviously an email that somebody read 6 months ago doesn't really matter anymore. So you want to have those point scores to decay and go away. So there's that concept as well. So we'd be happy to help somebody certainly think that through.
All right, looks like we have a question. Time for one more question. Our email and Google Analytics create quite a bit of data. Is that a problem at any level for Nucleus to handle?
Well, actually, it's really not. And you're right, they create millions of rows of data, as you actually saw in Brandon's system. But because we use big data technology, we can handle massive amounts of data. And also, it's really important that that data, the challenge is both Brandon and I were trying to make the point of earlier, is that data exists. It exists in your email marketing tool. It exists in your Google Analytics tool. The problem is it's the business users are not the ones in there who are looking at that. It might be someone in your IT team, and so it takes it away from the person who has the ability to take that knowledge and turn into real insight. And then when you combine that with the ability to being able to blend it with all your other data, that you really start to see real value in the data. All of a sudden, the fact that a certain segment of your members are clicking on a part on your website really matters. So the good thing is we can store all that data. We encourage you to bring it all in, and I think you'll find you get a lot out of it. So I think that we've run out of time. I want to thank you for joining us today. And while we've shown you some successful examples from our clients using Nucleus to support their marketing efforts, every association is different, and so we're here to speak to you if you want to speak about your specific challenges and needs. So please contact us and we'll be happy to help. As with all our webinars, we have recorded this session and we'll send it to you shortly. So please feel free to share it with your colleagues when we do. And finally, our next webinar will be held on October 30th at 2 p.m. It will focus on dashboards and key performance indicators for your board and your executives, which obviously sounds like a very scary topic and is perfect for the Halloween season. So thanks again and have a wonderful day.